Man, let me take you back to the early 90s when I was just a kid with a Sega Genesis hooked up to a bulky CRT TV, my thumbs practically glued to the controller, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the game that defined my afternoons. I can still feel the excitement of popping that cartridge into the console, hearing that satisfying click, and watching that iconic title screen burst to life with Sonic and Tails zooming across in their biplane. The tornado. That upbeat, catchy tune would hit my ears, and I'd be ready to dive into Emerald Hill Zone, heart racing, ready for adventure. This game wasn't just a sequel to the original Sonic. It was a whole new universe, faster, flashier, and brimming with so much personality that it's still etched into my memory all these years later. Let's dive into why Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis is a timeless classic, why it hooked me as a kid, and why it still holds up today. The moment you boot up the game, you're thrown into this vibrant world that just pulses with energy. Emerald Hill Zone, with its lush green hills, checkered paths, and those mind-blowing loop-de-loops, it was like nothing I'd ever seen as a kid. I'd spend hours just tearing through those loops, watching Sonic blast forward at lightning speed, collecting rings with that addictive ching sound that still echoes in my head. The Genesis's 16-bit graphics were a revelation back then, and Sonic 2 pushed them to the limit. Every stage, from the shimmering waters of Aquatic Ruin to the neon-lit chaos of Casino Night Zone, felt like stepping into a new world. I was obsessed with how the game looked. Those vivid colors, the way Sonic's sprite would curl into a ball mid-jump, or how Tails would trail behind, spinning his tails to keep up. It wasn't just a game, it was a visual masterpiece that lit up my imagination. The gameplay, oh man, that's where Sonic 2 truly shines. As a kid, I was hooked on how fast it felt. The original Sonic was speedy, sure, but Sonic 2 cranked it up to a whole new level. You could feel the momentum as you tore through levels, hitting springs that launched you skyward or speeding down slopes so fast you'd barely have time to react. I'd yell at the TV when I missed time to jump and lost my rings, watching them scatter like glittering confetti. But that was part of the charm. You'd mess up, learn the level, and try again. The controls were so tight and responsive, you felt in control of Sonic's speed. Well, most of the time. I'll be honest, Mystic Cave Zone got me with those vines and spiked traps more times than I'd like to admit. I'd grit my teeth, trying not to chuck the controller across the room, but that challenge kept me coming back for more. Let's talk about Tails, the ultimate sidekick. When I first played Sonic 2, I thought it was the coolest thing that Sonic had a buddy. Tails, with his big eyes and those spinning tails, was like the little brother I wanted to protect. My actual little brother would grab the second controller, and we'd play co-op. Me as Sonic, him as Tails, struggling to keep up. It was a riot, even when Tails got stuck off-screen or fell into a pit. I'd laugh, he'd get mad, and we'd keep going. Even in single-player, Tails made the world feel alive, like Sonic had a loyal friend always ready to back him up. As a kid, that dynamic made me feel like I was part of their crew, saving the world together. The zones in Sonic 2 were like little universes, each one unique. After Emerald Hill, you hit Chemical Plant Zone, and let me tell you, that place was wild. Those pink and blue pipes, the toxic ooze, and that high-speed tube section, it was like the game was daring you to keep up. I'd panic the first time I hit that part, dodging obstacles while the music pumped adrenaline through my veins. Speaking of music, Masato Nakamura's soundtrack was pure genius. Every zone had a banger: Emerald Hill's upbeat melody, Casino Night's jazzy vibes, or the eerie tune of Mystic Cave. I'd hum those songs while doing homework, and even now, they teleport me back to my old living room, controller in hand. The variety kept things fresh. Aquatic Ruin Zone had those nerve-wracking underwater sections, watching the air bubble countdown like my life depended on it. Hilltop Zone brought lava pits and earthquakes, while Oil Ocean Zone felt like an industrial fever dream with oil slicks and seahorse enemies. Metropolis Zone, though, could feel like a slog. Those spinning platforms and tough enemies tested my patience. But I loved exploring every corner, hunting for Chaos Emeralds. The special stages were intense, running through those 3D half-pipes, chasing rings, dodging bombs. Nabbing an emerald felt like a gold medal, and getting all 7 to become supersonic? Pure glory. I'd brag at school about that golden glow and epic music. The boss fights with Dr. Robotnik were brutal. That guy was relentless, with contraptions that had me sweating, especially in Death Egg Zone. But it was fair. Every death taught me something. The simple story, Robotnik stealing Chaos Emeralds to complete his Death Egg with Sonic and Tails as the heroes, hit hard. Those cutscenes, like the tornado taking off or the final showdown, made me feel like I was saving the world. The ending, especially with all the emeralds, gave me chills. What made Sonic 2 special was its heart. It wasn't just about speed, it was about discovery, challenge, and that sense of adventure. I'd spend hours finding secret paths or mastering tricky jumps. The game rewarded curiosity and skill, and as a kid, that felt empowering. The Genesis's limitations didn't hold it back. Sonic 2 was a technical marvel, squeezing every ounce of power from that console. The replay value was insane. I'd race through levels just to beat my best time. Looking back, Sonic 2 was a cultural phenomenon. It showed what the Genesis could do and made Sonic a legend. As a kid, it was my escape, my challenge, my obsession. Even now, firing it up on a retro console or emulator, it's just as thrilling. The speed, the music, the charm, it's all still there. If you've never played it, give it a spin. If you grew up with it, pop that cartridge in and relive the magic. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 isn't just a game, it's a time machine, and I'm forever grateful I got to ride it.